know they were helpless also.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a full effort of, damn, this actually did happen around Valentine's Day when everything hit the fan.
How are you? Sorry.
Hurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
So how many clients, nah, that's not a good question for you. Have you ever dealt with a client who's had like back-to-back episodes where like their everyday life almost became an episode?
Yep.
That happened. And then outside of that happening, it was also what do they believe? Because their reality is breaking down also. And it's terrifying to watch someone that you've grown with. It's terrifying to watch their reality fall apart, and then you try to figure out, well, what pieces do I catch? And can I put that back together when they're okay? Because in life, you always think they're gonna be okay. And then once you get the hope of, okay, they got the help, family got them medication, they'll be fine because they've gone through something similar to this before, but not as bad. You're like, okay, everything's fine. You have to give yourself distance because you're hurt by everything that you went through with them, but you're not going to abandon them, but you do need space to acknowledge what's happened to you.
Vicarious shock.
Yeah. And then come back to them. So, and then I got the news. It was June 18th, 2018, and nothing's ever been the same since.
No, can I go deeper? Are you okay to go deeper?
I can talk, but if I can't talk about it, I have no issue with saying no.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened to you? What news did you get?
She died.
Okay.
I won't say what, but she died.
She died. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was going towards. Okay.
Yeah. And like,
I'm so sorry.
I am too, because like you, as kids, adults, teenagers, we are in a society that preaches hope, and it's like, I get it, it's necessary. I'm of the mindset you can't save everyone, but do the best you can for those you can save.
I agree.
So that's what this is.
And I think that I truly agree, because and this is probably the hardest piece of therapy and working in this field, is that you can't actually change anybody. They only can change themselves.
Yeah.
And so even in therapy, we're always told, and I think this is where you get like coaches versus therapists, because coaches can give advice. Therapists cannot. Therapists are supposed to allow the client to find that out on their own.
Yeah.
All we can do is ask questions to enlighten.
Yeah.
But the client is actually on this journey, and we're just kind of facilitating that journey.
Yeah.
Right? And so I even think of support systems, like in this situation, you're just kind of facilitating that journey with that person, but it's up to them to actually make those changes.
Yeah.
And the mind is something extremely powerful, yet so vulnerable and it's, I want to say, very flexible and fluid as well, but like it really depends on like that person's resiliency and like, I want to say even their foundation. So like, I think a lot of women, we suffer from like self-esteem issues. Men and women in general suffer from self-esteem issues. But if we really think about it, a lot of that falls on our parents.
Yeah.
Right? Because if your parents don't instill and empower you from when you're young, it can make or break you moving forward. And so that's where I think, especially the Black community, there's so many issues. You hear so many stories like, my parents were super Christian, or they were this, or they were that, and they didn't allow me to do this, they didn't allow me to do that. Like, even with the D. Wade situation and his daughter, I feel like this is probably the best thing he can do is like support her decision.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you're like chipping away at and how that person is going to respond. And when they become an adult.
Yeah. And then also, if you look at how D. Wade words, his sentences, a lot of people are trying to make it about, well, his daughter at this age shouldn't have this say, and it's like, you can't tell a kid whether they're happy or not if that's how they're happy.
You can't.
So he is publicly showing his support for his daughter, especially like acknowledging the transition and when it happened, and making sure to remember those points and those moments. Because like, no matter what anybody says, he doesn't have to care. It's his family regardless.
Oh, regardless.